Good morning on site. How are you? Online, are you there? Good morning.
Yes,
Good morning.
morning.
Online, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Yes.
Christine? Julius?
Yes, sir.
I can hear you.
I don't know if they can hear me. Online, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Sam.
Okay. Welcome from the week. And this is our second session. Today, let us look at costing systems. After having completed the first two topics, hope you received the materials. Have you checked your LMS? Or if not yet, you'll be able to check. Okay, you can get the reading text there. But today we are looking at costing systems. Okay. Given that speed is low, we shall try to increase because it is wide. So we shall try the level best we can. Okay, guys, costing systems, it is just simply the organization is trying to look at how to determine or estimate a cost to a product so that it can be able to add either markup or a margin to get the selling price. So we are just looking at how we can determine the cost, or we attach a cost to a product. That is simply costing systems. And the organization will have different types of costs in regard to these products. Maybe you can give the common ones. For example, we'll hire employees, and that means it's going to incur the labor cost. Yes, also you need to source for raw materials. You will need to have material costs. However, there are also some other costs. Take, for example, you need to hire the space. Maybe if you have a production facility, you need to have that space either for storing materials or for installing machines. That means you have to incur probably rent and some other costs involved. Now, our challenge here is today we are going to start with the ABC, that is activity-based costing, and the traditional costing. Other systems can come later because we have seen in the past the examiner has a lot of attachment to these two. Mostly, the traditional one is particularly the organization uses labor intensive, but in ABC now technology has grown. Now sometimes they phase out employees because the machines have come up, they can produce in large quantities, or maybe by variety of different products. In these two here, our challenge is the direct labor cost or materials. This one here can be directly traced. For example, I know if I'm hiring 10 people or maybe 12 and I'm paying them per hour. That means if they are working for 10 hours, I will be able to estimate their cost. Also, if, for example, I need an output of maybe 1,000, maybe I can say maybe if I'm producing soap, bars of soap, I'll be able to know maybe I need a certain quantity of raw materials to produce this output. Here you can easily trace. Our problem is here, for example, red. Mostly what we call the overheads. It is hard. For example, if you have 3 products or 2, you're producing soap, maybe plus some other Colgate, something like that. It's hard for you to attach and say, maybe this, a particular cost, maybe if you're incurring 10 million on rent, probably maybe 5 million is going to soap, maybe also 2 is going to Colgate. So our problem is the allocation of this rent here, these overheads. But these direct costs are always straightforward. So our focus is going to be mainly on overheads. Though in all our estimation of cost setting, we can factor in all in case the examiner wants us to go that way. Okay, can we write something before? Let's say, write and say, costing involves determining expenses incurred in production of goods or provision of services. Costing involves determining expenses incurred in production of goods or provision of services. That is the costing. We have 2 main types of costs. We have 2 main types of costs. One, we have direct costs and indirect costs. And these indirect costs are what we are calling the overheads. You can write and say direct costs are costs that can be traced to a particular product. Direct costs are costs that can be traced to a particular product. Or to its original source. Or to its original source. For example, we have direct labor, direct materials, and other direct costs. For direct costs, we have said that these are costs that can be traced to a product or from its original source. If you have 5 employees producing 10 units per hour, if they work for 10 hours, that means you can be able to determine the number of the cost involved in paying this staff. Okay, we can also write and say indirect costs or overheads These are costs that cannot be easily traced. These are costs that cannot be easily traced to their original source. For example, indirect labor, indirect materials, and other indirect costs. Indirect labor, for example, we have seen that you can have employees who are producing units per hour for a certain number of hours in a day. But you can have, for example, the foremen, those supervisors who are involved in supervising. You cannot be able to tell that this supervisor produced this number of units. So you are incurring a cost on the supervisor or the foreman, but you cannot tell that this one relates to this number of products. That's what we're calling indirect labor. We can also have, for example, electricity here. Can you be able to tell that this one relates to, maybe relate to production of, maybe if it's specified to a production facility, maybe you can be able to tell. But if you're producing different products, you cannot easily attach a cost of this electricity to a certain product. Is that fine? Okay. Now, our biggest problem is these overheads. How can we, spread these overheads to particular products or units? Is now we need now these costing systems in place. And we can write and say there are two main methods. There are two main methods used for overheads. And these include, we have traditional, or what we call the absorption method. Two, we have the activity based costing. Members, the traditional or absorption method, it's even used today, but this one it is mainly labor intensive. Though, of course, it is labor intensive, but sometimes, of course, if you hire staff in production setting, probably maybe you can buy two machines for them to run these machines. It's of course labor intensive, but at least it can have some machines. Unlike in activity-based costing, where the shift has changed because of technology. Here in traditional absorption costing method, here what we mean is you just get you get your total overheads and divide by the total activity levels. What we mean here is, for example, if you have probably maybe, I can give you some examples. Take, for example, you have maybe purchasing costs as an activity, or maybe you can have handling, or maybe storing as an activity which attract a cost. All these attract costs. So what we do is you get your total overhead cost, say maybe 100 million, and we divide by these activities here. How many are relating to the purchasing cost? How many are in handling or maybe in storing? However, unlike in activity-based costing, here we are looking at, we have activities in an organization that drive the cost. Take, for example, you need to set up machines at the beginning of the period before you start manufacturing output. So you will need, maybe this setup is set, maybe it's in a sense that, you know, if I'm setting these machines, they are going to run, for example, 100 runs or times before you service. So at the end of the period, you are now going to count how many runs has this machine run during the period. That means the activity, what's driving the cost is the number of runs. Maybe we shall get there to get more clearer. We can write and say, let's write about the traditional costing method. This is a method that allocates overheads we are writing this as our one costing systems. This is traditional costing method or absorption. This is a method that allocates overheads to the different products or services. This is a method that allocates overheads to the different products or services using a single overhead absorption rate. That means, for example, each time we are going to allocate these costs using the traditional costing system, we need to find the overhead absorption rate, what we call OAR. And our OAR equals to our budgeted total overheads. If you have incurred on rent, you will add the total cost of overheads, then divide by the budgeted activity level. Here, all of them are budgeted because here you are setting in place before you start the actual production. It is usually at the initial stage before you start actual production. So everything should be budgeted. You have not yet incurred the costs in reality, but you first plan in advance to use this system. And if we are dealing with the traditional costing, activity level, we mean, and right? This can be either the labor hours or machine hours. Like I said before, in traditional setting, of course, in traditional setting, usually the companies used to produce a few range of products. For example, someone can produce soap. Maybe I can take an example of soap. You only produce probably maybe blue soap and white soap. But now for example, today, you can have blue soap, but it has different flavors. So in modern, that's where you have activity-based costing, where you have now the modern has changed, you now involved in the flavor, you have a different range of products. If you have Colgate, you have, I don't know, I mean, this is toothpaste. You have Colgate, you have Fresh Up, Dairy Dent, because of competition. So you want to produce different range of products, and in that, you're going to incur a lot of costs. That means that we need to shift to activity-based costing. But for traditional, you are involved in a few range of products. And here, we've said that you mainly look at the labor hours or machine, because you have these employees who are going to run the machines. Machine hours. Our focus is going to be in these two if we are allocating overheads. Unlike in activity-based, there we look at different activities that lead to costs, right? You can write and say, absorption costing, of course I mean traditional, was developed at a time when organizations produced a narrow range of products. Produced a narrow range of products, and overheads formed a small fraction of total costs. And overheads formed a small fraction of total costs. Right, and say this method was mainly labor intensive. And the overheads formed a small fraction of total costs. This method was mainly labor intensive, however, of course, with a few machine settings. Right, and say with the introduction of advanced manufacturing technology, AMT, this is advanced manufacturing technology. With the introduction of advanced manufacturing technology, a better system had to be introduced. A better system had to be introduced.
Pardon, sir.
With the introduction of advanced manufacturing technology, a better system had to be introduced in order to cope up with technology. A better system had to be introduced in order to cope up with technology. And this led to introduction of ABC costing system. This led to introduction of ABC costing system. So activity-based costing phased out the traditional or the absorption costing because of technology. You can take, for example, in the current setting, if you went to a bank, the bank has several products and they are using different technologies. For example, you can find they have the ATM. Of course, for convenience, you can go anywhere and get your money the way you want. Or you can also go to these agents. You can also go to the online. They have business online systems, several of them. So the technology has come in and it has led to the ABC. So they have different activities that cause costs to the organization. That's with activity-based costing. I've given also the example of in a manufacturing setting, maybe if a company is producing toothpaste, you can have fresher, different of them under one product. Or if you are looking at maybe the jelly, the Vaseline, you will have a range of them. Ladies, you can mention very many, I know. For us, we can know only one, maybe Vaseline itself. But you can have several of them under the Vaseline type with flavors, perfumed or non-perfumed, etc. Let's write something about ABC costing. So you can write activity. Yes. Costing. And we shall be using ABC as the acronym. In the interest of time, we can write and say this is an alternative to the traditional costing system. This is an alternative to absorption costing, and it involves identification of factors. It involves identification of factors which cause the organization's major activities. Which cause the organization's major activities other than just labor or machine hours. It involves identification of factors which cause organization's major activities, which cause the organization's major activities other than just labor or machine hours. Continue. Here, overheads are charged to products. Here, overheads are charged to products on the basis of their usage. On the basis of their usage of the factor causing the overhead.
Pardon, sir.
Here, overheads are charged to products on the basis of their usage of the factors causing the overheads. Usage of the factors causing the overheads using cost drivers. Using cost drivers. So in an organization, of course, you can have, for example, if you have ordering, costs, for example, as an activity. Now we have the cost driver. The cost driver is a factor which causes these costs. If you have ordering cost as an activity or ordering as an activity, you're going to have a number of orders. The number of orders, this is a cost driver. It is a factor causing the ordering costs. We can write and say cost driver is a factor which causes the costs of an activity. Cost driver is a factor which causes the costs of an activity. Take, for example, if you are moving from here to, say, maybe Mbarara or any other place, you are traveling, right? If you're traveling, that means you're going to incur transport cost. But in this case, what will be our cost driver? Of course, it can be the kilometers you are undertaking on the way. Maybe if it's from Mbarara, maybe from Kampala to Mbarara, we have maybe 100 or maybe 1,000 kilometers. Of course, you're going to know that after every 1 kilometer, how much am I going to incur? Then you multiply by the number of kilometers you've covered. Or maybe in another setting is, if this is we are incurring a cost on this rent in this building here. Some of you, of course, you have maybe this knowledge. How do people, or maybe those firms, estimate the cost of rent? There? Maybe that space, the floor area, either per, they know how they can categorize them. So we have now those cost driver. If you're incurring rent for this building, the cost driver will be now the floor area or the floor space, something like that, right? We can give some examples. So we can say examples of overheads and their cost drivers. Examples of overheads and their cost drivers. We can have an activity here, and we can have a cost driver. And start with one, can have ordering. Ordering, we have said it will be number of orders. You can have inspection as an activity, and you can have number of inspections, or you can have quality control. Of course, for you to check a quality control, you have to inspect. Also, it can also be number of inspections. So we can have several activities sharing the same cost driver. This is not limited. Then 4, we can have setup costs. And the cost driver, we can say if these are machines, there will be number of production runs. Five, you can have material handling. Which can also be the number of production runs. Okay. We can also have another example. We have production scheduling. Production scheduling. The pronunciation depends with your kindergarten. So here also it can be number of production runs. Etc. There are very many. However, in an examination setting, these cost drivers, the examiner will give you different activities of an entity, and it will give you different cost drivers. So it will be upon you to determine the specific cost driver. However, sometimes, of course, it may not be so direct, but you need to use judgment. Or so we can pick an appropriate cost driver. Sometimes you may fail to identify in an exam setting, but you need to pick an appropriate cost driver based on your judgment. Of course, it can be clear, sometimes may not. Take, for example, I can give an example, maybe on quality control. Quality control, we have said, it is the number of inspections. Sometimes they may not give you number of inspections, but in these things, what are you inspecting? For example, maybe the accounting books or maybe scripts. That means if they have not given you number of inspections, or maybe I can say on inspection, which is it? We had inspection as an example, and they will not give you number of inspections, but sometimes they can give you what actually were they inspecting, maybe counting books. Then probably you have to take counting books as a cost driver. You just have to use judgment, relative, and you'll be correct. And in MDC, it's all about making a decision, even when you might have missed a correct cost driver, but you've given your decision based on the given information. They are interested in you making the decision, not sometimes accuracy. Accuracy maybe now can be for those one for prize winner, something like that, if they are so accurate. But still, for us, can you be able to apply the knowledge? That is the concept we want, right? So you don't have to get worried whether I pick this one, maybe I'm wrong. No. If you use your judgment and you say this is the one, you apply, do it correctly. You get the marks for making the decision. Right? We can get an example here before we can look for a past paper. Online, are we there? Yes?
Yes, sir.
We are there.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I think I saw in the group someone was saying couldn't hear us. Is it? Okay. Let's write and say an example. Which manufacturing entity can we take? The one you know. When the organization you're working in manufacturing, you'll not be penalized. Which one? Which are the common manufacturing entities? We can take maybe Reham, right? Okay. An example, right? Suppose Reham manufactures someone roofing, Mkwano, any you can write any. Suppose roofing or Reham, take any. Manufactures 4 products, A, B, C, and D. We can say output and cost data for this period is given as below. Output and cost data for the period is given as below. We can have products, we're going to give it in terms of table, so right well. We have products A, B, C, and D. Then we can look at also the units. You need about 6 columns. So we shall look at the units produced. You can look at number of production runs. We can have material cost. And this material cost is per unit. Also have direct labor hours, and this is also per unit. We also have machine hours, and this is also per unit. We have A, B, C, and D. We can have the number of units produced in, for product A, we have 10, for B, 100, and 100 for D. Number of production runs, we have 2, 5, 5. The material cost, we have 20 for A, 80 for B, 20 for C, and 80 for D. Direct labor hours, here we're going to use 1 per unit. We're going to use here 3, 1, 3. The same will apply for machine hours. Continue right and say below it, say a direct labor cost per hour. Direct labor cost per hour is 5 shillings. Direct labor cost per hour is 5 shillings. And we can have a breakdown of overheads here. Overhead costs as follows. Let us have short run. Variable costs. $3,080 shillings. You have setup costs. We have 10, 920 shillings. We have shadowing. We have 100 shillings. We have material handling. Of 7,700 shillings, giving us a total of 3,800. You can confirm that total. Your calculators. Okay, let's see the required part. Number one is allocate. Am I too fast? Okay. The required part. We have allocate the overheads. Allocate the overheads to products on the basis of traditional costing. On the basis of traditional costing. Allocate overheads to the products on the basis of traditional costing. Then 2, allocate overheads to products on the basis of ABC. Okay. In this particular question here, we don't have any the selling price. Maybe we would include the revenue, but now we are only going to base on costs. That means we're going to determine the cost per unit of each product. Let us start with the traditional, the absorption costing system. We agreed earlier on today that when you are dealing with traditional absorption costing, your focus when you are allocating these overheads is only on 2. Either labor hours or machine hours. It is this factor here which drives the costs. So we are going to use, that means the activity levels, our interest is going to be in machine hours or labor cost. But since we are dealing in traditional setting, they have given us the two of them here. Let us focus on the labor hours, because in traditional setting, it's the labor hours, the number of employees you use. The machine comes just like, by the way, in case maybe they had given this information and they have not given you direct labor hours, then you use machine. But if they give you 2 options, you take the labor hours, takes precedence, right? It is just a coincidence here that all are the same, but they can give you different. But you know when to apply the 2, right? Okay. So you know we have how many units, products? We have 4. So we can have our units. We have A, B, C, and B. And these are products. And we can bring in now the units. Now here in MDC, workings are very important because you cannot, the papers they give us, they are restricted to not write in this margin. So we need to be organized when we're presenting our answers. So we can have a schedule for our final, what they want, but we also create workings for, so that we just get answers from workings to just post here, other than crowding this area. But if you want, you can write, if you trust that you will fit in those margins. I don't know if they penalize if you wrote in those margins, because they don't bring those scripts back. Okay, so we have units. How many units are for product A? 10. And for product B, 10, C, 100, and D, we have 100, right? So let us look at, in the question, they will give you different costs. We have talked about direct labor costs, direct material costs. Those are direct costs. They also give you the overheads, these indirect costs. When we are using traditional setting or the traditional or absorption costing, for us, we are going to sum up the direct costs. maybe separately, or you can put them in a different docket. But the ABC or maybe the absorption costing is going to only be applied in the overheads. That means in the working for overheads is when we are going to apply the traditional or absorption costing. But in direct cost, those ones are straight, right? So we can start with direct costs.
Pardon, sir, on the explanation, my network had gone off.
Okay, we are saying the traditional costing or absorption costing or ABC usually only applies to overheads, right? So in the question where you have direct costs and overheads, direct costs are not affected by these methods. It's only when we come to overheads, right? That's when we are going to apply the ABC or we are using traditional costing, right? How will you determine that this is a direct cost? Of course, in the first place, you know direct labor is a direct cost. Material, direct. But in the question where you will find they have put per unit, that means it is on units. Each time they are putting per unit, it is in most cases a direct cost. Sometimes they can hide that, but just put in the mind that where you're going to. If, for example, fixed cost, take for example rent. They can give you rent, you know this is an overhead that you need to allocate. But if they gave you just fixed costs, right? They didn't say anything. This is an overhead, right? But if they put this fixed cost per unit, then this one becomes a direct cost. It's just a technique, just need to be aware of. Okay, so in this question, how many direct costs do we have? Forget about overheads for now. Let us first start with the direct costs. Which one do we have? We have the material cost and the labor cost, right? That means we can work out those one first, right? I don't know what Isma. What is 3? Okay, maybe you'll come again. Okay, let us start with direct costs. Right, so we can have a schedule of where we're going to have our costs, direct costs and overheads. We can have here direct labor cost, and we have seen also direct material cost, right? For overheads, you can leave a space and let us do our working somewhere down here. Our workings, we can abbreviate them as W. Let us start with direct labor cost. In this information, they have told us that direct labor, we have direct labor hours, but this direct labor hours is per unit. That means this product A here, you are producing 10 units, right? But each unit requires 1 hour, right? That means we need to find how many hours you spend on product A. But you realize that in the additional information, they gave us the direct labor cost per hour. That means we can be able to find our units to get how many hours we need the direct labor cost, then to get the total for each of these products, right? So we can make a working down here. Okay, we can have, let us have products A, B, C, and D. We have, you can start with units. How many? We have 10, right? 10 here, 100, 100. Then we have how many direct labor? We have, this is a direct labor hours. How many we need for product A? 1, 3, 1, 3, right? But also they're telling us that the direct labor cost per hour is, we can say this is cost per hour. How much was it? 5. We have 5, 5, 5, 5, right? To give us the total cost. Guys, you can help me. So one can start from D, another one can start from A, so that we move very fast.
A is 50.
We have 50. B? 150. 500. And lastly? 1500, right? This is now what we take to our shed here as our direct labor cost. For product A, we have, mention again, 50, 150, 500, 1500. Is this okay? Let us move to direct material cost. And ensure you indicate here, this is your working one, right? Here, and this is what when you go to advanced levels, like level 3, you must indicate where you're getting your answers. And it should start on level 2 so that the other side is smooth. You have to get used. Okay, then maybe direct materials, we can have our working number 2. And as well indicate, these are in shillings. If they are put in thousands, indicate the level of precision. Let's move to direct materials. We have multiplied here. Just be keen. We have multiplied these direct labor hours with the units, right? However, if they had only put direct labor hours without indicating units, that means in direct labor, in this cost here, we would ignore the units. We agree? We have put because they have told you it is per unit. If they don't say anything, this column here you ignore. And this is where they always grab you. Let's go to working 2. This is material cost. Have they said material cost per unit? Yes. So we are going to have products A, B, C, and D. We need the units. How many? 10, 10. Is it 100 or 100, 100? Let us go to the shed for material cost. Of course, you need material cost per unit, you need 20, 80, 20, 80. So we have here, this is material cost per unit, which is 20, 80, 20, 80, and nothing else, right? So we can put here our total cost. Online start from D, on the side start from A, so that we move very fast. A is, this is 200, this is 800, this is 2000, this is 8,000, right? Let's say take 2 to our working. We have this 200. This is 800, 2000, and lastly 8,000. Let's now go to overheads. With overheads, they had given us short run variable costs. They gave us setup, scheduling costs, and material handling, right? We said when you are dealing with the overheads, you need to determine the overhead absorption rate. So we shall need to compute overhead absorption rate, for which we said you get your budgeted. Oh, sorry, this should be in working somewhere there. Fill in this space. Okay, so this is our working number 3. You indicate in the schedule those workings. Me, I have not put, but you indicate. So we are going to have here overheads, right? Overheads, what we need, number 1, is for us to compute the overhead absorption rate, which is equals to, whether you are dealing with ABC or absorption costing, you need to have this overhead absorption rate, unless the examiner has given you. Sometimes they can give you, because for us we go in an exam setting, we know you have to compute overhead absorption rate. You read to the paper, they have given you. Yes, in both sides. Only that in here in absorption costing, the only cost driver is either labor hours or machine hours. But when you go to activity-based costing, each activity will have its specific cost driver, right? We shall see the difference. So here we have said this is budgeted costs, total costs over the activity level. And here activity level, we are interested in labor hours for this particular one. They gave us 2, but we are saying our focus is the labor hours. So we need to know how many labor hours are you going to spend on all these activities, right? So maybe we can be able to determine the labor hours first. If we had done a working before, it would have been easy for us. We can say we have the products A, B, C, and D, right? A, you're producing how many units? Because they said it is per unit. So you need these units here. Product A weigh 10, 10, 100, 100, right? And how many labor hours, direct labor hours you're spending on per unit? Sorry? We had 1, 3, 1, 3. That means for me, I will need now to have my total direct labor hours, not direct labor cost. Because our activity level here is we're interested in direct labor hours as our cost driver. So you just need to find direct labor hours. So here we have 10, right? Here we have 30. Here we have 100. We have 300. In total, how many do we have? We have 440 hours, right? So for all these activities, you require 440 hours, which is the budgeted activity level. So we can now be able to we can now determine our overhead absorption rate equals to the total budgeted cost they gave us. It was, we have 30,800, right, over 440 hours, and this is going to give us how much?
70
hours.
The hours were shillings.
So we have
70 shillings per hour.
Okay, 70 shillings per hour. Correct. Right. If this is okay, then now we can now allocate. We know each. This is per hour, right? Yes. Let us now allocate the overheads. Let's do the allocation. Let us take product. Right. We start with we had short run variable cost, right? We had setup, we had shadowing, we had material handling costs, right? Which are our, yes. So we can do our working, or we can maintain still in this working. This was working number 3. Maybe working number 3, we can say this is, we can say this is our absorption, overhead, absorption, doesn't matter. Then we can say in working number 4, this is working number 4, or you can just continue without naming them, but someone will be able to trace. The purpose of naming is just someone to be able to know that you're getting this from here. Working 4 now, we can go to short run, variable costs, right? Okay. Right, so we have product. We have product A, B, C, and D. How many? Our focus is on the labor hours, right? How many hours do we need for product A? 10 hours. 10. In total, right? So we have 10. 30. 100. 300, right? Then what is the cost? They are our overhead absorption rate. Confirm this is 70 or 7? 70, right? So we are going to have 70, 70, 70, and 70, right? What is the total here? We have 700, correct? We have 70, 210, 2,100, 7,000, 21,000. Right? What is the total?
The fact is 700, not 70.
Like this.
Yes.
What is that total? This 10 here, is it the hours needed for product A or the total for all? Someone? Yes, Christine, do you have anything to say? This is the cost, right? But how many hours do we need? We need 20, right? We have this, come again, look here, guys, look here. These labor hours are per unit, not per hours. Look, in the schedule here, we're computing here. This one here, this is direct labor hours. This is per unit. So this is going to be the direct labor hour cost. This is per unit. Is working down. This one here, this is per unit, not per hour. Because we have already determined, we have already estimated the hours. This is per unit, not per hour. We already know the cost per hour. This is per unit as the overhead absorption rate. So here we are going to need the units, not hours. So the units for A, how many units go to product A? 10 units, right? Then product B, 10. And for C, 100, 100, right? The overhead absorption rate are using the phone or the calculator to compute. Okay, so we have the total, which is 3,800 divided by 440, which is 70, correct? And now trust your answer. Okay, let us now get the total here.
Like for D also changes.
But for A remains 700, right? We have for B 700, 7,000, and 7,000, giving us the total of. Someone is saying, but mathematically it seems not right. When you divide shillings by hours, you'll get a shilling per. You'll get the shillings per hour, right? Do we assert to that assertion? Someone also is thinking that way, right? What is your argument? We shall go back to measurement theory. What is your take? Per labor hour. So we agree with their assertion. You also assert to? I agree with this. Okay, let's take, we have from this angle here, this is a total cost. We don't know what it's relating to, right? And this is hours. So when we divide this, that means we are going to remain with hours. That means this is going to be shillings per hour. So we can confirm that they are right. Very good. You didn't read the measurement theory, guys. This is per direct labor hour. I can abbreviate. So under allocation, we can also adjust that. Sorry for that. You can adjust. So we have here.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, sir.
There's also another check just to see that we are right, because when we are allocating overhead absorption rate is per hour, to confirm that it is per hour, because after our allocation, the total should be equal to the total overhead absorption rate, the 3,800. So the first working was right.
In the first place, right?
Yes, I also agree with the first working.
Yeah.
Correct.
So that total should be equivalent, should be corresponding to the 3,800.
For the total, right?
Yes.
So let's come and put here. So here our focus is going to be on direct labor hours. How many hours do we need for product A? We need 10. For product B? Sorry? 30. And for product C? 100. And for product D? 300. 300. I'm relying on your figures. Okay? Then the overhead absorption rate is 70, right? And this is going to give us 700. This is 700. This is 2,100. This is 7,000. And this is 21,000. So that, how do you test that you're correct? If you add the total of this, you will come back to 30, right? To 800, right? Let's go to, we can transfer this to our working. We can transfer that to our working. So we have short run. These are short run. Short run what? Variable costs. For product A is 700, B 200, C 7,000, and D, sorry, 1,000. Okay, let's go to the other cost as well. You can go to setup costs. This is our working number for 5. This is 5, and this is setup costs. We can take this working number 6. Okay, you can adjust from your side. So we can go to working number 6 or 5, depending on how you're naming them. So we have, this is working number 5 or 6, and we can call these are setup costs. Setup costs, we have products A, steel, B, C, and D. Yes? for
Yeah, I think we are wrong somewhere.
so I never wanted to combine the absorption costing with the ABC. I wanted to get the working, then we go, but still we can take the half version and only end here for overhead absorption rate, and this will be the summation for overhead costs, right? So that means I wanted us to have a working, then we go once, but still it's okay. Look at here. Here, in overheads, we are not going to break down to particular cost drivers, right? For absorption. That means for us here, we are going to only to focus on direct labor hours. In this case here, someone mentioned that we have already the total, which is 3,800, right? That means under the overheads, our focus here is only on direct labor hours, right? Which was working number, I think 4, right? And we had a total of 3,800. So for product A, we had, let's come here to this working. Have you seen this working here? We did the overhead absorption rate, which is this, right? We had the number of labor hours, which is 440, and the overhead absorption rate, which is 70, right? When we allocate on the basis of direct labor hours, we have this cost here. So this is now what we take to our working for not actually for short run. Here you don't need to break them down. We only do overheads as a whole for absorption costing. You can test here and see that this total here is equivalent to the total absorption costs, right? We are only going to focus on direct labor hours for absorption or traditional costing. So in our working here, we only take direct labor hours. Come here. We only end on direct labor hours. You don't bring in other activities. Other activities will be for ABC, right? So you can now bring the cost for labor hours under A. What do we get? We have broken it down in working number 4. So we have 700 to 100, 7,000 and 21,000, right? This is activity for traditional absorption. You end there because when you add the whole total to this, we sum up to 3,800. That means for purposes of avoiding confusion, let us leave this other working. We shall make it for ABC, right? So for here, we can stop here and we add our total costs, right?
So in our table, we shouldn't put short run.
No.
Put what?
We only end on direct labor hours for traditional. If they are not given you labor hours, you would use machine hours. And here you use machine hours in that case. And that's where you stop under traditional. So you can get for me the total costs here. But how would you determine that under overheads you're correct? When you look at your breakdown here, under the allocation here, right? This allocation here, I may not say these are short run, right? Okay. These are direct labor hours, or maybe direct labor cost. So you can see that the total at the end of it is 3,800, which is the total as per the total absorption rate. If you got this answer different, automatically you will be wrong. That means you needed to adjust somewhere. Correct? And in exam, you don't cancel. If we realize that this is wrong here, that this total here is different from the total overhead, total costs is different. Don't cancel to write, right? Just leave a space, go and make another working. Never cancel. You never know what you're canceling may be right. In exam, we don't cancel. Never.
Excuse,
Yes?
like how do you determine that you're going to use the like direct labor or direct machine hours for the overheads? How do you determine that?
Guys, can someone have an answer? I think all of us have an answer somewhere there.
We said when we are on our traditional or absorption costing and we are given machine hours and electric labor hours, we need to choose the labor hours only
As the first option.
as the first option. But when we are given only machine hours, then there we go for machine hours.
In absence of
the labor hours.
yes. So I don't know, I didn't pick your name, but we have said that under when you're allocating overheads under the traditional or absorption costing, the activity level is either direct labor hours or the machine hours. Here they gave us two. That means our first priority is labor hours because the traditional was labor intensive. However, they use some small machines. So we take labor hours. Is that okay with you?
Yes, sir.
Good. Okay, so I can probably maybe can now leave this. So we can now determine our cost per unit as per the traditional. Let's come here, give me the total. Online start from D and on site start from A. This total here. Get the total for direct costs for labor, direct material, and the overheads. 50, 200, and 700. We have 950. For B, 30, 50, 3050. Then for C, 9,500. Then for D,
29,500.
9,500, right? For us to get the cost per unit, this cost per, yes? No, you are only interested in the cost. The other line for cost is going to help us to get this total cost divided by the units to get the cost per unit. Hey, okay. B or the last one?
Then 500.
30, 10,
500.
or 3,500, like this.
Yes.
Okay, let us get the cost per unit divided by the units.
For this 305.
305 for A. Guys, let us be very fast.
For X 95.
95. This is 305 and 1080. Right? Like this, guys, you confirm.
So the one is 95.
This one here is 90, 95. Okay, so guys, this is traditional or absorption costing method, and yes, Is this Ismail? Ismail, what is your argument? Or it was before? No. Okay, guys, that is traditional. Let us go to ABC.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
I want to take you back. There's something I didn't pick well. Anna working one.
And the working one?
Yes. Cost per hour, where we got 5 throughout.
Sorry?
Cost per hour. I missed something there. How did you get 555 for product A, B, C, D?
You're meaning this cost here?
Yes.
It was in additional information. Because they say direct labor cost per hour is 5.
Okay, I've got it. Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah, also before you go to ABC, sir, just a minute.
We are just starting ABC. I think you can ask after, right?
Yeah, before we proceed to ABC, I just want some clarity. You said here we stop with we consider the direct labor hours. So the setup costs and scheduling and material handling will go to ABC.
That one will be for ABC.
So if I compute them under here, I will be wasting time.
Yeah, that is wasting time, and actually a lot of time.
Oh. Okay then, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so I can remove this. Okay, so let us start with this is ABC method, and with ABC method, of course, our focus is on the overheads. Direct labor cost will still remain the same, right? So we can say we have the units for A, B, C, and D. The units here are 10, 100, 100, right? Then we can come to direct costs. Direct cost, we have direct labor cost. This is still working number. Maintain the working. You don't have to come again make another working. No, you have already made up, right? Under the traditional. You don't have again to compute again. This was working number 1, right? Working 1. You can give me the figures for the total labor cost. Is how much? 50, 150, 500, 1,500. Then direct material cost was working number 2, right? Can give me what were the figures? 200, 800, 2,000, 8,000. Maintain up like the workings the way it is. The examiner will sort themselves. But our problem is now on overheads, right? Under ABC, it's the activities, and we have the factors that cause the cost to those activities. That means each activity we need to identify the cost driver for it. So we are going to have overheads. We are going to break down into all of them. We shall have here short run. Right? We shall have setup. We shall have scheduling. We shall have, what was the other? Sorry? I can say this is handling, right? Is that okay with you? Okay. Now, the next working now, if we have workings up to maybe 4 or somewhere, we can call this maybe working number 6. This can be working number 7, working 8, working 9. So that we break them down. So we are going to have working number 6, and we can call this is the first one is short run costs. Now in the question, they gave us short run variable costs, setup cost, scheduling, and material handling, right? But when you look at our table up here, we need to determine the cost drivers. Okay, now here you can see we have number of production runs, right? We have direct labor hours. Probably we have only 2 cost drivers. Of course, we said even machine hours is okay, but since it is the same, we can use 1, right? Or we can use even machine hours. So it's all upon us. Now, we have short run variable costs. Short run, these are costs that we incur in a short period of time. And how can you be able to determine the short run cost? What parameter can you use? Number of production runs is in a long period of time. You need to determine how many runs, for example, in a given period of time you need. That means you require
machine hours,
right? But for short-term costs, I can be able to use, if I'm using the employees in a day, can't I be able to find the cost involved to, or what the employees are produced in a day, to determine their cost, right? That means in a day I will know that this employee has taken 10 hours and the cost per hour is this, right? That means the appropriate one will be the labor hours. If you decide to use machine, it's okay, because you know that in a day you have used this number of machine hours. So the appropriate one would have been either direct labor hours or machine hours. These production runs, this is in a long period. It's in future, probably.
What if they are different? What if they are different?
If they were different, we have agreed that when you are dealing with the cost drivers, right, we take appropriate. So it is judgment, but it should be appropriate. Do you get? So here, probably the first hand would have been the labor hours, because you know the number of employees. The machine, or machine hours, either. Even when you took this side, probably you get the same answer. But if the machine hours were different in an exam, one who used the machine hours and one who used the labor hours, you will get different answers, but the decision will be okay. Is it okay? All right, so we shall say under this, number 1, you tell the examiner what's the cost driver. Okay, so we shall say and this short run, we shall say, you tell the examiner that the cost driver is, which one are we taking? Labor hours or machine hours, whatever you will take, right? Then if that is the case, then we know our overhead absorption rate equals to the total cost over the activity level. And we know our activity level is now the labor hours, but the total cost now in ABC, when you are looking at the short run, what are the short run total costs is what we are going to take. So this is going to be now 38,
8.
like this. Okay.
Yeah.
Then what about the activity level? What is our machine or labor hours? Did we add them? 440.
Yeah, 8.
You know how we're getting 440? We computed this somewhere there, right? Therefore, we find now this overhead absorption rate. $7, right, per hour, right? Now let us now allocate. Let's come to product A, B, C, and right? We need how many hours? $10 for hours or units. I don't know what you're focusing on. Okay. It's hours. Okay, fine. If it's hours, is it per unit or for total units? If they're saying per unit, that means we need to multiply with the units, right? Is that okay? So we are going to, we are agreeing that we have, if they're saying per unit, so we bring here units. So we need how many units for A? 10, 10, 100, 100, right? And here it's 100. What is our the labor? We need the labor hours. 1, 3, 1, 3. What's the cost per hour? We have cost per hour. We have 7, 7, 7, 7, right? So we get our total here. Guys, can do better fast. So I have 70. Sorry, 700.
70 to 10.
To 10.
700.
700. 2,100. So this is what we transfer to our overhead, a short run costs. You can give me those figures again. 70 to 10. 700 and 2,100, like this. Okay, let's go to setup. You know, setup, this is something like a long term. So we are going to go to, this is working number 7. We take, right?
Sorry, sir, we had lost you online team. We had lost you. Just I beg your pardon on the first computation. We had lost you.
We are saying on the short run cost, our cost driver is the labor hours, right? So we need to determine the overhead absorption rate, where we get the total cost for short run divided by the activity level, which is the labor hours. But we know our total cost for short run is 3080. When you divide by the labor hours, we are getting 7 shillings per unit. So we are now need to allocate now these products, where we are, since they told us that the labor hours is per unit, we need to multiply with the units. Otherwise, if they were silent, we could leave out this side and only focus on labor hours, the cost per hour, to get the total cost in that respect. Okay, so this is what we transfer to our ABC schedule. So let's come to setup costs. Setup. Yes.
Like time we added so that you can see whether we are correct. But when I'm adding, I'm not seeing the figure is not totaling to 3080.
This is the foreshortened plan.
for the run.
It will be 3080. When you add it, it should be 3080.
This should be 3080. For short run. So where is the B? So we have 10, 3, and 7. So this is 210, not really
210.
like this.
Yes.
Correct.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was writing your figures, guys. So probably maybe by a phone and a calculator. Okay, so we proceed. We continue.
Yes,
Are we
sir.
correct here? So set up cost. We shall say the cost driver. The cost driver is production runs. And we shall do our overhead absorption rate, which is equals to the total cost. What's the total cost for this? We have 10, 920. And how many production runs do we have? Let's go back. We have production runs. So we have, these are number of production runs. Have they said per unit? No. So if they say without units, we shall only end here. All right. So we have 2, 2, 5, 5, right? Okay. So how many total? We are adding 2 plus 2 plus 5 plus 5. So what is the overhead absorption rate? Sorry? 780, like this. Okay. So we can now allocate to product A, B, C, and D. Product A, we have, it is 2, 2, 5, 5, right? But the overhead absorption rate is 780, 780, 780, 780, right? And multiply for me. Online, where are you? Can you multiply from A on side
1560.
260?
1560. 1560.
1560. Yes. For B, the same. 1560. Then for C,
3900.
3900. Also, this is 3900. You can confirm this to ensure that this total here rhymes with 10920. So this we transfer to our ABC schedule. So we have here set up, we have, it is 1560, right? 1560 and 3900, 3900. Correct?
Excuse,
Yes?
I just want to like correct a 200 because it will confuse us afterwards. Up. No, on it's just the on the yes.
Okay, where this one here?
Yes, but up, yes.
Up where? Oh, on the ABC schedule.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Here, this is what she's meaning. Oh, the first one, eh? The first one here. So this is correct. So give me the figures for, okay, we have now set up. Let's go to scheduling, right? So our working, is it 8? Scheduling. Here we shall also tell that the cost driver is production runs. So when we get an exam paper, that's when we shall be able to relate this very fast. So we compute our overhead absorption rate. What is the total for shadowing? Like this. Then divide by steel production we have added here was 2 plus 2 plus 5 plus 5. And what's the overhead absorption rate?
Give 650.
Sorry?
650.
650. Okay, if this is 650, let us allocate to product A, B, C, D. Product, this is 2, 2, 5, 5. This is 650, 650, 650, 650. And this is going to give us the total of 300, 1,300. Then next, 3,250. Like this, 3,250. Okay, we transfer this to our ABC schedule. Have here 3,250, 3,250. How about the first one? The schedule for product A. 1,300, 1,300, right? Let's go to handling. So this is working number 9. And the handling still, this would, the cost driver will be the production runs. They only gave us 2 options, but handling this is right in the wrong run. So we have the overhead absorption rate, which is equals to, what's the total for handling? 700. Then how many runs? 2 plus 2 plus 5 plus 5. And the is 550 shillings. So we can now allocate to product A, B, C, and D. 2, 2, 5, 5. This is 550, 550, 550, and 550. And what will be the cost? 1,100. Here, 1,100. Then 5 times 550? 2,750, 2,750. Okay, I can transfer here. So I have here we have for product A is 1,100, 1,100. The other one 2,750. Okay, this is 2,750, 2,750. Okay. Okay, this is short run. Okay, guys, let us get the total here for all of them. We are starting from the direct labor cost 50, 200 up to handling costs. We can do very fast.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Please correct the figure for D on handling here. That one.
The last one. It's 2,750. Okay, let's add up all the total costs. For 250. Guys, you confirm? 4 to 8. 5120. 13,100. 12,000. Guys, you verify. You are auditors. So we can also do here cost per unit. So I know here this is 4 to 8 because it was 10. This is 512, right? Sorry. This is 4 to 8. Yes? Yes. Then it's not there. Members, we are adding from direct costs. Yes. Another person would have done direct costs separate, then overhead separate, then you add the two. But either way, you get the same answer. So that means this cost, the totals here are not right.
No, it's if you add 50 plus 100, then you have to be the last three are already higher than.
The 4,000.
So it's not what we what you have is.
We need the answers. Okay, let's do it again. You add from 50, 200, 70, 1560, 1300, 1100. What's that total? Correct? Okay. Then the rest are also okay. It's only these are that are changing. The 12,000. It is. So we have 21,500 like this, 21,500. Okay. Then you can divide by, so that means I have here 1,100, 131, because I'm dividing with 100 units. Then here it is 2,115, right? Okay. So guys, this is what they wanted you to do under absorption and under ABC. But what will you make a distinction? The distinction between these two, you look at the overheads, right? When you look at under, let us look at the ABC in particular, right? How many units for A? 10, right? And for B, it's 10. C, 10, 10. But when you look at the overheads, the allocation, right? The allocation here, you realize that under ABC, where you have less units, you're going to have less cost for overheads. You can see 1560, 1560. But for volumes under B, which is 100, you are incurring a higher cost. That means ABC looks at the volume. When you have less units, you're going to incur less absorption costs. When you have higher units, you incur higher costs in overheads. Let's try to check under traditional. Under traditional, we had only here, right? You can see here, we have 200, 800, 2,800. Of course, whereas the cost is high, but you can see under direct labor hours here. Of course, we are looking at only the overheads. Don't look at any other aspect. You can see that here we had 2 units, 10 units in product A, 10 units in product B, right? In product C, it had 100, 100. In here, you realize that even in product B and product C, they have the same cost. That means here it's not differentiating in terms of volumes. But for ABC, it is clear. Where there are higher units, it gives. So you under the preferred method. Now, which method can you choose? You choose where there is a lower cost, right? That means if you are to to determine, you look at for products. How many are you incurring in product A? For example, here we have 700, right? How about the under ABC? Probably you add the cost for overheads. But here it wouldn't give a good parameter because we are using given production run is different. But if we have an exam paper, we should be able to compare very well. I think we can go that side and we see, right? Let's do one number, then we can have a small break. We can now do very fast because now we have the idea, correct? Or we can rest. It was marathon.
Excuse me, sir.
Okay, let's see. Rest for how many minutes?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
I'm sorry to take you back, but I'm not getting it clear how we got the overheads, like 721, 2,100, how we got those digits.
Under which method?
I'm not sure, but I've tried to compare with what I have, but I'm not getting.
Oh no, are you looking at under traditional or ABC?
ABC.
ABC. Under ABC. The ABC method. Say 2,100. Are you meaning this?
Yes.
How we got this?
Yes.
Go to working number 6. Let's check working number 6, which is short run. Short run. Number 6 is here. Look here. We said that the short run cost, the cost driver is the labor hours, and we were able to determine the overhead absorption rate, which was 7. Now, since it is labor hours, and they said it is labor hours per unit, that means you need to bring in the element of units. For product A, it's 10 units. But how many labor hours are we incurring on product A? It's 1, 3, 1, 3 for A, B, C, and D respectively. Then what is that cost per unit, which is our overhead absorption rate, which is 777. And when you multiply, this is what you get.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
All right. I think, guys, you need to correct this. You put this is overhead absorption rate so that you don't confuse. Otherwise, someone would have put the labor cost, which is 5, instead of 7. Do you see that? You can easily mess up in that way. Okay, we can rest for 10 minutes. Then again, we push. Now, next, we're going to be very fast.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me.
Hello, I can hear you.
Kindly put on this page where there is material handling, like scroll back up to that page.
On
where I worked out.
ABC? Yes. Am I there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, you can copy. Members, let us proceed. In the interest of time, let us look at the exam setting March 2021, question 2. Are we there? March 2021, question 2. I want to see how the examiner sets. Okay, proceed. They're saying, this is March 2021, question 2. They're saying Enterprise Uganda Limited, EUL, was established in 2014 by a group of farmers in Chengegwa district to engage in agro-processing for value addition and high profitability. EUL produces a range of products, among which is cassava flour, starch, and dairy feeds. His managing director attended a workshop organized by the ISPAO in February 2021, where facilitators explained the relevance of business process engineering and activity-based costing in improving performance. Facilitators indicated the pitfalls of traditional costing system in regard to determination of product profitability. The MD shared with the accountant about the above concepts, and both agreed to adjust from traditional costing system to ABC system immediately so as to see how product profitability would change. The accountant decided to perform a pilot using accounting information for the year ended 31st December 2020. All overhead costs under traditional costing were charged to products using direct labor hours. Below is the accounting information extract relating to these three products for the year ending 2020. So we have, they've given us cassava, starch with all that information, and they've given us the net profit per traditional costing system, which is this per each of those products. Then they've given us the products, rather overheads. We have about 4 of them: material handling, machine repairs, and overheads. They are telling us that all direct labor is paid at 15,000 per hour. Other overheads will be absorbed to products using direct labor hours. You are the accountant at this company, and they want you to advise the MD on whether to adopt ABC system. Now, in exam setting, of course, they may not, because of time, they cannot test both the ABC and the traditional, but in most cases, they will give you the traditional setting. Then it's you now to compute for ABC, then to advise whether they should adjust or not, the whole system or not, or particular product. So we are going to determine, now you can see in this question here, they have given us, this is the net profit as per traditional costing, right? That means we have already traditional, but they want us to go on ABC, to whether to see, we can change either the whole system, that means for products, all products, or we can look at, if we compute under ABC, we'll be getting a better profit in product A than in traditional. If we get below, that means it's not viable. So we shall look in that perspective. So we can, here they brought in the element of output and the selling price. That means also we need the revenue. But the whole thing is the same concept. It's only that ABC and traditional, our focus is on the overheads. But these others, the same general knowledge you have, you need to find revenue. And for you to find revenue, what do you multiply with? Selling price with the units, right? That's the only difference. And to get the net profit, you need to get the revenue minus all these other costs. That's okay. So they have given us output, direct labor hours. Since we are going to do ABC, what is our mindset? Is we need the cost drivers for each of those overheads. Already they have told us that up here, that all overheads costs under traditional, for them they will charge to this product using direct labor hours. It can either be direct labor hours or machine hours. That one we know. But for them they charge using direct labor. That's okay. So we can do okay. So we can say this is part, this is 2A, right? So we can say this is determination of profit. Yes.
I'm requesting someone to share the question on WhatsApp for user following.
Okay, guys, can someone help? Probably someone missed it past class. So you need to have the question bank with you. So we are going to say determination of profit using ABC system, right? Okay, so we can start with our products, which we have that are given us cassava. We have starch, and we have, sorry, dairy feeds. Dairy feeds. And here we need revenue because they have given us, maybe this can be working on number one. We can go down here and we compute our workings. And say workings W, and we're going to say this is working one. This is our revenue. And in revenue, we have our products, which is cassava. We have starch, and we have dairy feeds. So we have output, which is, did they give us output? 850, right? So it can be 850. Then starch, 100,000, and dairy feeds, 800,000. So we can multiply with this with the selling price, which is from the question they gave us. It is the selling price per kilogram is 1,516,500, right? So we have 16,500. So we are going to have our revenue here. Did they give us in thousands, or we need to be very careful with the level of precision? So they have not given us, but here they have given us down in overhead cost in thousands, right? So we can also make our answers in thousands. So we can say this is in thousands. And also on the template you give in thousands. Someone can multiply for us 850,000. We do very fast. 1 million. Like this. You divide it with thousands because we are cutting off 3 zeros. Okay. Then starch. Starch is 1.6. And dairy feeds. Like this. Okay, so we transfer this straight to our working. We have revenue. Cassava is 1,275. Then starch 1.6. Okay. Then what do we have direct costs in the question? You can first start with the direct costs. Do we have? Of course, we have direct labor hours, right? That means we can be able to, because they gave us a cost for direct labor, which was 15 per hour. That we can be able to determine direct labor cost. Then we have also material cost. That means you can get material cost, which is direct. I'm meaning these two. These material purchase orders, these are cost drivers, correct? Okay, so let us work out for direct labor cost. We can call this is working number 2, right? So working number 2. This is direct labor cost. And direct labor cost, we have how many hours? We have direct labor hours, which is 850. So we are going to say for products, we have direct labor hours. So how many? 850. 850. Then 1,400. Like that. Is it per unit or per just? Direct labor hours. And that one also, this is, they are not mentioned per unit. So we don't need the units. Okay, so we can now put here direct labor cost per hour. It was 15,000 in additional information for all of them. What will be our total here? Cost remains in thousands. The answer you get here divided by thousands to reduce the three zeros. This 750. Right? 15,000. 6,000. Like this. So we transfer this to our template. Cassava is 750. We can put this in a bracket to mean the cost, right? We have 15,000 and 6,000. Let's put this in bracket to mean it's a cost. What other cost do we have? We have material. Material, we are going to say this is our working number 3. So we go open our working number 3, which is a material cost. And material costs you need to observe from the question. They're saying these are material costs per kilograms. That means you need kgs. So what you do, you start with kilograms for product, for cassava. How many kilograms?
960.
5. It is 5? 960. Then for starch, 11,050. And for 155, like this. Okay, then what is this material cost per? This is cost per kg. They have given us in this question, the cost per kilogram is, first of all, the kilograms are this, right? Yes. This was the cost per kilogram, yes, not kgs. Need to adjust. This one is the cost. This is cost per kilogram, what you have given me. But now here I need now the kilograms. This is cost per kg, and this is output. And output is in kilogram, right? Give me, this was 850,000, 100,000. 800,000. Okay, so we are going to have our total here, but still remains in thousands. What is the total? 860,000.
No, 860.
This is 16. Thousand. Like that. 1,000. And for direct feed, 1,000. Okay, this is what we transfer to our schedule. You can mention again for material cost. 816. Okay. Then for starch, 0.5. Then for direct feed, 124,000. Okay, is there any other direct cost? We don't have. Okay, we can now come to overheads, right? And overheads, we are going to use ABC. Correct? Now, ABC, we need to identify the cost drivers. So let us come and look at the cost, the overheads. We have, first of all, the cost driver, we have material purchase orders, we have sales orders, we have machine maintenance frequency, right? There's 3 of them. But we have the overheads, which we have material handling cost. What will be the appropriate cost driver? Sorry?
Material purchase orders.
So we are going to use material purchase orders. Then how about machine repair and maintenance cost? Frequency, right? Then we have for selling and distribution, sales orders. But they are given us a note that overheads will be in additional information. Don't forget that other overheads will be absorbed to products using direct labor hours. So if you're not keen, you forget and apply, probably maybe they can mark, but you just need to be very careful. Okay. So we can now allocate these overheads. We shall go to working number 3, right? 4. So we have working. Let us just first write these overheads here, because you need to write them for. We have material handling. We have machinery repairs, and selling and distribution. Then we have other overheads. Correct? Okay, so we can say this is our working number 4, 5, 6, and 7. So let's go to working number 4. So we go to working number 4. We shall say material handling. And under material handling, the first thing you do is you tell the examiner that the cost driver is, and tell me, we have material purchase orders. If this is the material purchase orders, then we need our overhead absorption rate for this, right? Which is the total cost for material handling is how much? It is here 101,250. So we shall say this is 101,250, right? Over, we are now using the material purchase orders. How many purchase orders are there? So we have material purchase orders. We have 30, 20, and 70, right? So we need to add them. So we have over 20 plus 30 plus 70. So what will be our overhead absorption rate? 843.8, right? Right? This is per order. Then we need now to do the allocation. So we are going to have here cassava, We have direct feed. Direct feed or starch? We have starch and direct feed. So since this is going to be based on purchase orders, you start with purchase orders, right? You can give me, we had 20, we had 30,
Lydia,
and
Lydia,
oh,
biar
we have
Melinda ka.
20 and 70. Guys, correct this up here, because someone when is revising may find a trouble. We have 30 plus 20. And we multiply with the overhead absorption rate, which is 843.8, 843.8, 843.8. So you can give me the total here. When you add these three of them, you should come to 101 to 50. So for cassava, we have 25,314 point, or just like that. 25,314. Then starch. Then the other one. Like this. Okay. Guys, you verify. So we transfer this to our schedule. Tell me those figures again for material handling. 25, 314, 16, 876, 59, 0, like this. Okay, when you add the three, you should come up to the total cost for material handling. So let's go to machine repairs. So this is working number 5. This is it. Doing this is a material. Or sorry, machinery repairs. Okay, and we said the cost driver is machine maintenance frequency. Okay, if that is the case, then we are going to say our overhead absorption rate equals to the total figure for machinery repairs and maintenance 202,500. 202,500 divided by the frequency we have 100 to 50, right? So we have 100 plus 250 plus 50. And what's our rate? Yes.
Material handling. When you round it up and put 843.86, the total is not the same.
When you round off,
Yeah.
But it's approximate.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's fine. You don't mind about the accuracy, but sometimes it's good to add those decimals, at least 2 decimal places. Okay. But the reality is subjective, so it depends with the someone handling. Okay.
The rate is 506.3.
566.3. This is per frequency.
Yes.
Then we can allocate. We know I'm going to put this is cassava starch, and I don't need to write all the time. I just know that I'm in this column here. So it's just to keep on your mind. So we can say frequency. We have how many? 4. We have 100, 250, and 50. And I'm going to say my overhead absorption rate is 506, 506.3, 506.3. That will be my total. 630. Yes. Online, you are sleeping there. Okay. Which one?
126,575.
1265. 1265. 75. 126,575. Okay, then the other one?
25,315.
315. Thank you. So we transfer these to the table. This paper, you just have to learn how to get organized. Because if you are to bring this in this schedule, you're going to find it hard. So machine repairs, can you give me those costs again? 30. Like this. 126, 575, 25, 315. Guys, I just need now your answers. You can do. Let's see, on site, do the selling and distribution on site. Selling and distribution, other overheads online. Then you just give me the figures. But for overheads, you are going to use direct labor hours. If they say direct labor hours per unit, then you will multiply with the units. You just have to be careful that way. Number of decimal places, always use at least 2. Yes. The question. Oh. Okay. So you have selling and distribution. Of course, we are going to sales orders, and the overhead we have said we are using as per the examiner's direction of direct labor hours. Can I read like here? Something like this. And do very fast. Let's look at something else. Yes, someone is another. Can give me 4. Okay. So selling and distribution. Cassava. 151. 875.
Then for starch.
For starch. Mind you, these were in thousands, but they are reduced to the thousands. That's why we're taking them direct, right? For 91. 125. And the last one? 67. Online, I think we have some answers. Cassava is 151. Online, I wanted you to do other overheads, but it's okay. Direct feeds is okay. Okay, so let's do overheads as well. One 5,000. Then for 1 net like that. 72,000. Okay, guys, these are costs, so they should be in brackets because they have given us revenue. If they didn't give us revenue, then we would leave them the way they are. So we can do our net profit. Get the revenue minus all these costs, including the direct costs. Get the revenue minus all this.
Wahi.
For cassava,
Lydia, what?
Oh, 65, 43, 7.
for cassava,
Yes.
654, like this, as a profit or a loss. Or you can put here a loss so that in case it's a bracket, it means a loss. Okay, then for starch, my friend, get a counter book. We agreed. Otherwise, MDC will not manage that way. Six five 409. Then the starch, rather direct feed.
Five,
52859. Okay, all of them are profits, not losses. Are we all guys there? Okay, you can verify later, but we can make a decision using what's available here. You can write the figures, but you'll verify. Okay, so in making the decision, because they had asked us that we advise the MD whether to adopt ABC system. So in adopting ABC system, we have to look at, first of all, they have given us profits under traditional, and also we have got profits under ABC as per our computation here. What you need to know to look at, first look at the profits. Are all these profits higher than the one for traditional? Let us look one per one. We have cassava, we have 63,750. And here we have 65,406. Is it better than the traditional?
No.
Yes, right? Because the profit here is higher than the other side.
Yes.
So in our mind, we know that we have the profit under traditional, which is 63,750, right? This is traditional. But we have gotten under ABC, it is 65, which is higher than the traditional. Therefore, if it was only cassava, we tell them they should shift to ABC because it's going to give a higher profit of 65 as compared to the other one. Let us also look at starch. Here we have starter, and here we have 65. Is it better? Yes. Then let us also look at the other one. Dairy feed. We have 90 under traditional, and we have 52 under ABC. Should we shift or not? No. Okay. So that means we are going to advise this entity to shift to ABC under cassava and starch, because they have profits of 65,406, 65,409, which are higher than the traditional of, I think we can write, let's write the decision so that next time you can write yours. Okay.
Just before we proceed, sir.
Yes.
Which cost driver did we use for other overheads?
Other overheads that guided us here in the question, that other overheads will be absorbed to products using direct labor hours. So it's what we use. Yes.
Thank you.
Otherwise, if they are not given us, you would have chosen one from there, which is appropriate. So we can write and say, now you have to bring the case scenario to your answer sheet. That's what they are looking for. So they have told you to advise MD of this, right? So you say, I advise the managing director of, now you bring this company here, of Enterprise Uganda Limited. I advise the managing director of Enterprise Uganda Limited to adopt ABC system, for products cassava flour and starch, because they will generate higher profits of, we now give this one 65,406, 65,409 for cassava and for 65 respectively, compared to the traditional profits of 63,750 and 30,000 respectively. And maintain the traditional system, for dairy feeds. You can now give the reason there. Dairy feed, because which had a higher profit of 90,000. But now you need to add those zeros, 90,000 or 90 million because that hidden those zeros. You need to add all of them. You'll add just there, it's okay. Then the ABC, which will generate 52,859. Let us look at one more example. And here we're going to be very fast. We are now experts in that area. Yes. Okay. We started late because they are not projected, but we can. Okay, let us look at, we want to look at ABC. We know ABC, but now with customer profitability, analysis. This is CPA. Okay, are we there? In this arrangement here, remember our focus, we have been looking at the profits per product, ABC. But now, sometimes it's important for you, you will serve different customers in an organization, and under different customers, likely you may incur different costs on them, depending on how you treat the customer. Somehow, a customer can come in, you give a discount. That means if you have product A and ask 2 customers, you are charging 10,000, but the other one now you want to reduce to 9,000. That means that discount, it is a cost to that particular customer. So in CPA, we want to identify costs that are particular to this customer. And now we want to determine the overall profits for each customer so that now we see how we can maintain these customers. Those ones who are giving us high profits, we need to put them in certain category. Those ones we need to put them in certain category. That's the purpose because you don't want to lose them. If you don't pay attention to customer profitability, likely some of them are going to run away. So we need to put our focus there. And the reasons for CPA is either you want to retain customers, or you need to find out to improve on some services for them. Some of them will come with their different reasons. Will come, this mineral water is good, but maybe the color doesn't look good to me. So can you be able maybe to manufacture that water to fit this client? If it's big, he wants in volumes. You get, someone can come in batches, wants big quantity. So we need to pay attention to customer. So we want to see how we can write and say, this involves identifying the various costs incurred, specifically in relation to serving a specific customer, specifically in relation to serving a specific customer or segment of customers. Involves identifying various costs incurred specifically in relation to serving a specific customer or segment of customers. Paragraph, or you can continue and say, CPA is always a tool from management costing. That involves, or that shifts the focus. That involves or that shifts the focus from the product line profitability, from product line profitability to individual customer.
Pardon, sir?
A tool from management costing that shifts the focus from product line profitability to individual customer profitability. We are shifting from the product line profitability to individual customer. Continue. It focuses on analyzing profits. It focuses on analyzing profits per customer rather than profit per product. It focuses on analyzing profits per customer rather than profit per product. Let us now bring in the ABC element. ABC under customer profitability is used to allocate ABC under customer profitability analysis is used to allocate overheads to different customers or services. ABC under CPA is used to allocate overheads to different customers or services. Let us look at the benefits.
Just pardon there before we proceed. On that same sentence, ABC under customer profitability is
used to allocate overheads to different customers or services. Used to allocate overheads to different customers or services. Let us write the benefits of customer profitability analysis. What's the benefit of CPA? One, it helps an entity to reduce costs. Helps an entity to reduce costs. We can continue right and say, this is done by identifying how much each customer is costing an entity. Each customer is costing an entity in a customer service, marketing, or even in product delivery. How much customer is costing an entity in terms of customer service, marketing, or product delivery. Two, it empowers an entity. It empowers an entity to better prioritize its retention efforts or efforts. Retention efforts. Empowers an entity to better prioritize its retention efforts. We can continue and say, yes. Now, I had explained this earlier on. If you have 3 customers, one is bringing for you 10 million, the other one 5, the other one 2. Now, your focus is you're going to shift to the one who gives you higher profits so that you find a way of, understanding this customer to be able to, this customer to stick with you. That retention, you get. Okay, we can write and say, this is done through dividing its customer base. It's done through dividing its customer base into customer segments. Based on the value each customer generates. Based on the value each customer generates. Of course, the value I'm meaning now in terms of the inflows. done through dividing its customer base into customer segments based on the value each customer generates. Number 3, it optimizes an entity's marketing strategies. That's another point. It optimizes an entity's marketing strategies. We can also write and say it helps to identify.
Continuation.
Yes. It helps to identify the most profitable customer. Helps to identify most profitable customer. Then work on attracting similar high revenue customers. Then work on attracting similar high revenue customers. Helps to identify the most profitable customer, then work on attracting similar high revenue customers. If I know Patience gives me 10 million, which is my highest revenue customer, that means I may also have to focus on the cycles of Patience, maybe the friends in that category, so that I shift now marketing strategy to look at now, I can now go to these other areas, the friends, to also get them, right? Good. Then the first one, probably the last one, it helps entities find customized retention strategies. It helps the entities find customized retention strategies. This is like close to the other one, but now you need to look at what strategies are you going to develop to retain these clients. It helps entities find customized retention strategies. Which one is best for this customer? Which one are best for this customer in that arrangement? Okay, we can look at one example briefly, then we can close. But it's the same concept, only that now here we're going to take to the particular customer. If we don't complete, you'll be able to complete. Okay, let us look at June 2022. OB. For B. Someone, if you have a question, you can share in the group. For B. We have this question. They are telling us the most profitable customer group for January. Let us read the question. They are saying Kisoro Utilities Limited, which is cool, was established in 2016 to deal in distribution and sale of power in Kisoro, Uganda. Cool has invested heavily in customer care services with the objective of maximizing profits. However, the profits have failed to grow despite this investment in customer care. The management accountant suggested that the customer profitability analysis should be performed regularly to see the best performing customer group, and the Pareto analysis should inform the investment in customer care. He also proposed use of margin of safety to ensure that the company is operating in sale profitability zone. The managing director also recommended use of feedback and feed forward controls to ensure operational efficiency, which will realize the profit maximization objective. Some of these topics we shall cover them later, but we're paying attention to what we have covered or what we are covering. Cool sells power to domestic, commercial, and industrial customers within Kisoro, but tariffs are indicated by the Energy Regulatory Authority. Below are budget extracts relating to the month of January. So we have power customers, we have customers domestic, commercial, and industrial, right? Power sales, this is not much different with what we covered. Instead of like products, instead of putting customers, but only here it's now CPA, right? So we have power in sales units, we have tariff price, is like the selling price. We have variable cost per unit. Variable cost, this one depends with the volume, the output. That means we need the variable cost. But what I wanted to bring to your attention is, each time they give you variable cost, the examiner is interested to know the contribution. Of course, you know, when you get the sales minus variable cost, you get contribution. So he wants to see in your computation, is there contribution before you can go to these other costs. We have sales mix, probably this is a cost driver. Number of lines maintained, cost driver. Customer calls, probably cost driver. Customer field visit, cost driver, right? Then they have given us additional information. They have given us budgeted fixed costs. Telephone charges per call. Fuel, what appropriate cost driver would be for telephone charges? Customer calls, right? Then field staff allowances per visit, this will be visits, right? Customer care allowances per call, number, the customer calls, eh? Then line maintenance expenses per line, number of lines maintained. Now, in this, you have to just be very careful. When they give you overheads and they are telling you this is per call, it means they've already computed for you the overhead absorption rate. Remember, in the previous examples, we were computing ourselves per hour, per watt. You get? But here now they're giving you, this is per call. That means they've given you the overhead absorption rate. The only thing is now for you to just multiply if you are dealing with which customer, domestic. If you are dealing with telephone charges, you just get 3/4 times the one for domestic. And now let us do, right? Then they're telling us that cool plan to incur, I don't know if I've confused you. I've not, eh? If they had not put this per call, per visit, per call, per line, then we had to go and compute the overhead absorption rate by getting the particular for each of them. Correct? Good. Cool plan to incur total fixed cost of 40 million and achieve profit after tax of 5.6 during the month of January. The prevailing income tax rate is this. It's not a big deal to us, okay? So we can do, let us work out. Okay, we can do we can start with customer, right? We have domestic. Or will you do this? Then I do something small, we go. Then next time we can catch up. Sorry? Can you try out?
Let's do this first, then we can get a homework or something.
We can do it very fast. Okay, domestic. Then we have so we have commercial and industrial, right? Industrial and commercial. Don't get tired. We are starting. Okay. So we are starting, we can start with revenue. We have sales, we have tariff, we can do the revenue. Ismail, we are going to give you the contact number for and you'll be able to join. Okay, so we can do our working. So we can say this is revenue. Our working number 1. Is it in thousands? Is it in? They have not given us, so we shall take the way they are. So if that's there working, you can say this is workings. This is workings. Then 1, we can say this is revenue. For revenue, we have domestic, we have industrial, and commercial. We can have the sales units. You write what I've given you. Just put sales units, but you should actually put power sales. 120, 60, 120, 60. Be systematic. So this is commercial, and this is industrial. Means also on the working, I need to shift. Oh, I change?
Yeah.
Be consistent. So this is commercial, industrial. Working 1, we have power sales, and I can call this the unit price, but put what they have given you, or tariff price, which is 750, 750, 650, and 550. With the units here, and so on. So you can give me the total here for revenue. 90 million. So we have 90 million. Then the next one. And the industrial. 11. 11. Okay. 39. Yes.
Yes, it's 39.
Okay. What else do we have? Direct costs and look at. Do you have any direct costs? We don't have. We have variable costs, right? So we can make a working for variable costs, and we can call this working number 2. So come to variable cost. This is working number 2. You say this is variable costs. Of course, variable cost is changing with units, right? So we have 120, we have 60, we have 20, and we want to know the variable cost per unit, right? Variable cost per unit, take from the question, which is 550. Guys, you can read for me. 55, 350, 150. So give me the total. Million. 1 million. 3 million. And read for me again here. Yes. This is in bracket to mean it's a cost, right? So that we can have our contribution here. So I'm going to have, this is 24 probably. And this one, 18 million. And here, 8 million. So from here, I can now go to, let me see this other. Do we have other costs? We don't have, right? We can now just come to overheads, right? So we come to overheads, or we can call budgeted overheads, the way they are put.
Excuse.
Yes, please.
We got the value for the contribution. Is it by deducting variable costs from revenue?
Yes, because each time they give you variable cost, you should get contribution. Okay.
Okay then.
So let us do the overheads. We can first bring the way they are. We can start with telephone charges. So we're going to have telephone. Charges. We can say this is working number 3. Then the next one is we have field staff allowances. We can call this is working number 4. The next one, customer care is this is working number 5, right? I'm going to remove these workings because I've finished, unless if you're going to need this later. Presume that you've written. Okay. Then the last one is, sorry, line maintenance, which is working number 6. Okay. We can now proceed to do working number 3, telephone charges. Working 3, telephone charges. Now, if they are not given us the per call, right? That means we're supposed to do the overhead absorption rate, and we compute so that we multiply this rate with the telephone calls we have. But now, since they have given us the rate, we are going to do direct. Let us have, we have domestic, right? We have industrial, commercial, and industrial. So I'm going to have my telephone calls, right? Telephone calls. Come to the schedule and find them. How many are they? Come, you see, we have telephone. We have customer calls here, right? So we have customer calls, which is a 14. Let us call this customer. This is customer calls. And under domestic, how many do we have? 1,400. Commercial, 1,100. Then we can say this is telephone charge per call, right? Which they have given us, it is 3,400. Then everything is 3,400. Then we can give the total here. 760. Like this. For commercial. And for industrial, 340. It's just 340. Like this. You can give me, I transfer them here. We have telephone. It is 60 in bracket, then the remainder is 340 and 3.4. Okay, we can go to now field staff allowances, which is working number 4. Working number 4. This is field staff allowances, and this one is being attributed to these are field this there. Okay, so we are going to take customer care visits, field visits. How many are they for domestic? 58, 41, 60, 16. Okay, and what is the charge per visit? Per visit is how much? The same. Hey, yeah, it is like the rate, yeah. Give me the figures, transfer them here. 5.8. Then 1.6. 6. Okay, then the customer, can you do for me the customer care and also line maintenance? Then you give me the to the question. I'm waiting for your figures.
Oh, 4.2 for domestic.
Already gotten the answers? Okay.
Yeah.
Domestic?
4.2.
Yeah.
Commercial 3 million.
3 million.
Yeah. Industrial 300.
Okay, then you can finish with the line maintenance. Okay. Christine, patience, you can note these numbers, you add them and send them there. I'm going to share the link, then you can join Doreen.
Please share the question on the screen.
There. Patience, you have another number there? Just a moment. We have 750. 0.5, 750. Okay, can we do the profit? Then we see which customer is more profitable. Patience, you have.
Kindly go back to the question. Just we are picking some figures there.
Okay. Okay, we have the profits. Time is against us. 190. Oh, 3,190,000.
4 millions.
Net.
Yes.
5 million, 10,000.
5,000. Okay, from this point here, which customer is more profitable? Industrial with 5, followed by this, and lastly, domestic, right? Can we advise? That's right. Because in this paper, you need to advise, not just numbers. It's management decisions. Advice, we are basing on this. We are saying the most profitable customer for bring the entity into your answer sheet. The entity is okay. For coal, you write Kisoro Utilities Limited is a industrial with a profit of if the thousands, you always add them when you are making a decision. Of 5 million, 10,000, followed by commercial of 4 million, and the least profitable customer is domestic. It's 490, 3490. So,
Excuse,
yes.
I was off for sometimes I can't pick where people are exactly.
Christine, you can't?
I can't tell where people are exactly. I was off for some problem.
Probably didn't have a calculator. Okay, we have reached here. We have computed our profit. And now we want to advise to see which customer is more profitable. And from these figures here, we have analyzed and concluded that this industrial customer is more profitable than the rest. So we are advising the entity that the most profitable customer is industrial with 5 million, followed by commercial of 4 million, And the least profitable customer is domestic with 3.49, right? That's the addition. Sometimes the examiner can go ahead and tell you or ask you, what should you do to improve this, the least profitable customer? What should you do? How would you advise? Okay, number one is, first of all, before you look at the other parameters, always first come and look into this. Okay, drop him or her. But now they want you to improve this customer so that they can catch up in terms of profit. Okay, we shall also reach to those decisions in relevant decisions, relevant costs, buy or drop. We shall also get there. Okay, now, first of all, always where profitability losses have issues are in costs, right? So first of all, always come and look at these costs here, right? You can see that under industrial, in telephone charges, they're incurring 469, which is higher than the rest of customers, right? And you have to bring it in the reality that this is a power, which is like umeme. Should we take to that side? So what should umeme do in order to reduce these telephone charges? Or maybe in the first place, you can advise that this company should find a way of reducing telephone charges because it's higher than the rest. But now you need to look at also other parameters. You can look in terms of, maybe you can also as well see the field. The field costs are something like 5. No, we have customer care, this, right? Which is 4.2, which is higher than the rest. You can find a way of, probably maybe if you are visiting them so much, you can now install those Yaka meters so that they just do by themselves, other than all the time going to, right? That's how you can advise, but always first look from the cost within before you can look at now maybe other reasons can be you can sensitize them.
On domestic and commercial, they're incurring much costs than industry. All of them.
Yes, in fact, all the costs are higher than, that means there is a problem in the costing there.
Domestic and commercial.
So you can have 4 points because they can ask you and they need 5 points or 5 marks. You can first of all give these 4. You explain why the telephone are high or how they can reduce. Then you can give sensitization word. Someone is saying that you record emails, contacts so that you can send SMS reminders other than calling them. Of course, if the customer base are elites, maybe that one would be okay, right? Okay, fine, guys. I think we cannot proceed from now, but thank you for your patience today. We have at least pushed there. So we can go and enjoy in peace. Now, we have other costing systems. I think I'll just share some notes. Then you go through. Next time we shall just peruse. Then we do an example in case you need a computation in that area. Someone is asking for group. Yeah, we have a group. And patients, read again your number so that they can have. Please note this number and text. They will send you the 07 67 83 308. This is patience, so you note and send a text. They'll be able to share the link to you. So we are meeting again Saturday, Sunday. Sunday we shall just recap. I'll ensure to send some notes before you go through these other costing systems like life cycle, target costing. They are not very much complicated. You just read through and understand. If you don't, then I'll try to highlight some areas. Then we can do a number. But for trial, you can try out this number before. Try out this number. File number, you try this September 2022. 1A. Roman 2. This is in relation with what we have covered. They have given you some information. It's just the same concept. Revenue, or if they have given net profit or profit, it's okay. You just need to identify what product is the entity, you know. Then what are other revenues? How am I going to apportion the overheads? Then next time we shall just go through. But thank you very much for today. Have a nice weekend.